Hi guys, Angela here to talk about your character's personality and the importance of giving our characters strengths and positive qualities, even the antagonist or villain. Obviously, a key part of any character is their personality, which is made up of positive, negative, and neutral traits. Their personality influences how they'll interact with the world and other people, and when it comes to their positive attributes, a well-rounded character will have traits that showcase four things: their morality, so what their values are and what they believe in; their identity, as in who they are as an individual; their interactions, their approach to communicating and how they treat others; and their achievement abilities, traits that help them be successful in attaining their goals. Knowing traits that fit these categories will give us a good sense of who they are, what their relationships will look like, and what their choices and actions will be when they're faced with conflict in the story. So, how do we go about choosing positive traits? Do we just choose them randomly from a list? Heck no! In the real world, personality traits form because of personal experiences we have and people that influence us and served as role models. So, it'll be the same for our characters, meaning we should start brainstorming our character's past and who and what was important enough to cause certain traits to come out naturally in them. Brainstorming a character from the ground up means understanding their past and all the factors that contribute to who they are, including negative events like emotional wounds. So if you need help with any of this, I encourage you to use the Character Builder. It guides you through the process of character building and uses psychology to help you drill down to what's most important. The information you gather won't all end up in a story, but it helps you know them so well that you'll write them in a way that readers will feel like they stepped right out of the real world. Let's say you've done this character building work and that one trait you know that your character has is confidence. Opening this entry will guide you to the details about this personality trait so you can more easily write their behavior, thoughts, and actions in a way that'll line up with someone who is confident. To start, you can double check that the definition lines up with what you believe this trait to be and browse some of the reasons why this trait may have become part of your character's personality if you need ideas on possible personal factors and life experiences. When confidence is a defining trait, it will influence how your character behaves, the way they work towards goals, how they interact with people, and tackle responsibilities. It's also going to tie into their self-worth and the way that they look at life. This list of behaviors and attitudes are specifically for someone who's confident, so you can read through the ideas here and imagine your character and their way of expressing themselves so that you can find ones that seem like a perfect fit for the character. When something on this list feels like a great match, take the idea and use it at a moment where this personality trait needs to be reinforced in the story. For confidence, maybe you'll show your character starting a conversation with a stranger, or draw attention to how they walk straight to the center of a room instead of hovering at the edge. Maybe your characters show it by accepting feedback or criticism without becoming defensive. And remember, confident people don't feel like they have to prove themselves, talk endlessly about their accomplishments, or be the loudest voice in the room. Another way to show your character's confidence is through direct thoughts, provided that you're in their point of view, because someone with this defining trait will think a certain way. For example, they're not going to focus on limitations and negatives necessarily. More likely, they'll stay open-minded and be willing to try new things. If they make a mistake, they're not going to spend lots of time internally beating themselves up about it either. Instead, they're more likely to reflect on the lesson they learned so that they will have a better outcome next time. Certain emotions tend to be tied closely to specific traits, and in the case of a confident character, they're likely to experience emotions like curiosity and satisfaction. So you can follow these emotions to gain even more ideas on how your character might behave in certain scenes. Any trait will have positives and negatives, and this is also important to feed into the story, because a lot of writers don't always think about how a healthy trait can have a dark side. So while confident characters won't worry over much about what people think, aren't particularly threatened by competition, and aren't afraid to take charge, others might perceive them as cocky and conceited, or view them as a threat. This can cause relationship friction and motivated rivals wanting to take your character down a peg. 2, confident people can overestimate themselves and their abilities, meaning they might be a little bit lazier when it comes to making sure that they're prepared. If they've missed a hidden danger or the task is more than they expected, this can lead to failure and other fallout. In fact, the negative side of a positive trait is a great way to find conflict that might be a perfect fit for your character in the story. We have a few examples of characters from fiction and film who are known for this trait, as this can be helpful for you to reference. And because we want to constantly challenge our characters, we have a list of scenarios a competent person will find especially challenging, because when our characters come across situations that are hard for them, it forces them to think creatively and fight harder to reach their goals. We never want things to be easy for our characters, especially the protagonist. To encourage relationship friction, there's a list of traits that won't play nice with someone who's confident. So if your character is up against a rival, adversary, or they're trying to build a meaningful relationship with someone and you want to insert some hurdles, consider giving that other character a dose of jealousy or make them a little bit manipulative, and then watch the sparks fly. Your character will have many traits, and some will be more obvious than others, but knowing these traits and how they will cause your character to behave is important for consistency. If your character is acting confident in one scene and then utterly subservient and insecure in another one, readers are going to feel like they don't know the character as much as they thought, and that could pull them out of the story. You also want to think about your character's goal in the story and what traits will be an asset when it comes to achieving it. And while we tend to think about character strengths as being important for the protagonist and the people they rely on, we also want to give strengths to our antagonists too. It makes them more balanced and credible, and ensures that they will be a formidable force for your protagonist to go up against. If you need more help with personality traits, check out the tutorial for this database, as it's packed with more tips. And remember, the character builder is just a click away. Happy writing!